Make sure your phones are silenced. We're live. Hi, everyone. Say hi to everybody. Hey, hi. Hello. It's so. Wait a second. Why am I?
That darn echo again.
Echo.
Does someone have me on their thing? Does someone have me on? One of you guys?
It's not me.
No me.
Why am I?
Not me.
No me.
Why am I? Hold on. There it is. Haha, it was me. All right. Never a slow day. All right, everybody. Now that I've said hi to you many, many, many times, we got that echo fixed. I apologize. I had it on another thing. Okay, so anyway, here is your group. We're going to talk about I've rebranded this BTT focus group because that's what we are. You know, we're having a focus group. We're talking about what you guys think of some very important subjects that we all care about. And today, we've done some big ones. We've done Star Wars. We've done DC, post Joker. And now we're going to talk about Marvel in 2025. Their most ambitious year ever with 9 projects. Thank you, everybody here. 80s Model, thank you for gifting a membership. Ryan, thank you for gifting a membership. Jaden, welcome. Thank you for joining. If you would like to be on one of these in the future, they're held every month. Really, kind of just, to make sure there are no bad actors. It's selected from the people who are in the membership level of BTT on-camera guest. So if you join at that level, you'll get the invites for these and you can submit yourself if you're able to participate. All right, so to get started, let's have everybody introduce themselves. All right, we'll start with Chad. We're going to go around in the order, but just a brief introduction, Chad, of who you are and why you like Marvel, or if you don't.
I hate it. Do you not see this? No, I'm not joking. My name's Chad, or CJ, whatever is easier. I like Marvel because it's ingrained not only in our culture, but it's ingrained in just everyday life at this point.
That's a good point. Do you want to be part of society or not? All right, how about you, Adam?
Yeah, so I'm Adam. I've been a huge Marvel fan for a very long time. Definitely relate the most to Spider-Man here. I don't know if you guys could see my Spirit
Now we
jersey.
can.
So yeah, I'd say Spider-Man's definitely my favorite, and I'm definitely curious as to what the animated friendly neighborhood Spider-Man's gonna entail. So
Ooh, I see which way you're starting to lean.
oh
All
yeah.
right, actually, next up in the order that we have on camera is Aiden.
Thank you so much, Grace. Hi, my name's Aiden. I love Marvel so much because of just all the different facets of it that I feel like every person can kind of pick what stands out to them the most. You know, when I was a kid, I loved Spider-Man. Now I'm very much an X-Men fan, but then I can even kind of connect to some of my family who maybe aren't sort of in this nerd world we are in. So I'm able to watch shows like Daredevil and kind of those old Netflix shows with my dad and my mom. So we can really connect, through multiple ways. I can connect with my friends with the Avengers movies. Just feels like something that I think everyone has a Marvel property that stands out to them. So I think that's really exciting.
Oh,
And
that's
that's why
awesome.
I'm excited to have so many exciting projects coming out this next year.
All right, Jake, you're actually next in the order. I think you're muted, Jake.
Hi, I'm Jake.
Okay, go ahead.
I have loved Marvel for as long as I can remember. My birthday is like May 5th, and so it's the first weekend of May, and so it's just a huge movie weekend. And as early as I can remember, like Spider-Man was one of the first movies we went to for my birthday, and just have been a huge fan ever since. And now I love X-Men. I read the X-Men comics. But I just love all things Marvel and Disney.
I love that it comes out for your birthday, and that's what's made you a big fan. That's fantastic.
It's kind of ingrained.
All right,
I mean,
Steven.
mine's the day before, so I totally get it. Star Wars Day for me.
Oh,
Yep,
that's
May the
great.
4th.
All right, Steven, you're up next.
Yes, for you too.
Hello, I'm Steven. I love Marvel. I grew up with it. I was I think I was 12 when X-Men 2000 came out in the theater, and that was blew my mind. I remember my dad took me. It was seeing, and just the difference of seeing the colors, right, from the TV show changing, it just really showed me what this world could be, both on the page and on the screen. And so getting to see it evolve from the Fox movies all the way up to now has just been incredible and a joy, because I get to see things I never thought I would get to see on screen. And I mean, now, like, I love, even though they're imperfect, I still love seeing the shows like She-Hulk and Miss Marvel getting made, because it's great to see those characters just come into live action. So I still root for those projects, even though we know how they turned out. But yeah, I'll always be an X-Men fan forever.
You and me, Steven.
Yeah, for sure. X2.
Niall, you're up.
So I grew up with the MCU basically, and then I expanded to like comics, the animated shows from like the 90s, and the Fox universe. So it's just really always been a part of my life. So, and I don't think it'll ever go away.
Oh, Kevin Feige likes to hear that. All right, Andrew, everybody's been noticing your wall.
Yes. This is my X-Men wall. As you can see, I'm a big X-Men fan.
So cool.
I've been reading the X-Men comics since 1990. I remember the X-Men animated series coming out every week and trying to guess with my friend which X-Men characters were going to be on it. So I've been on the X train for a very long time. And although I love all of Marvel, it really is kind of appetizers and entrees until we get X-Men for me. Yeah, I'm talking to you from Melbourne in Australia, and I have a channel called the House of Overthinking, which I hope you'll all check out afterwards.
It's funny. How many people here are X-Men fans? That's funny. Oh, look. Adam's on Spider-Man. But no, that's funny. I think X-Men brought a lot of people into Marvel, myself included. It's been no secret that Kevin Feige had like the B team, when he came on and had to do the movies because they'd sold all the big properties, or gave the rights off or sold the rights. But I think it's funny that we still are just waiting for the X-Men. So the bar is so high. I think expectations are so high for Kevin Feige, whereas it just occurred to me that in the past, he's had the benefit of people being like, those comics are okay, but with X-Men, it's going to be, although X-Men 97, I think we were all very happy with that. Who here reads comics currently?
Kind of, sort of.
Okay, for the most part, we all do. That's interesting. That's really cool. All right, so there are 9 projects coming out for Marvel in 2025.
Wow.
3 movies, 6 shows. All right. Now, I want to start off by saying, do you think that's too much? Does anybody want to go first?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you want to go first. Okay, Aiden.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a little too much. I think it's kind of just hard to keep up with it, especially the shows specifically, because I think it's kind of going to feed, like, it's kind of going to go. I feel like there's only going to be like no breaks in between these shows. It's going to be like one week after the other after the other. And I feel like people need those breaks in between. You need like a mid-season break going back to like the old network model. You need that like month or two long cliffhanger that gets people really excited to see what's coming next. But it's just 6 weeks of one show, 6 weeks of another show. And I just think it's going to get really repetitive. I'm sure there will be bright spots in there, but I just worry it's going to be a little bit too much.
Yeah, I wonder how they'll advertise, because they'll be overlapping. You'll have to advertise while their show is running.
Yeah, and
Niall,
Star Wars shows too. So it's
yeah, Niall, I saw you also had your hand up.
Yeah, I think the shows are just all going to eat into each other. I don't really see any of the animated shows doing well at all.
CJ or Chad?
It's too much, but I'm interested in discussing the release strategy. If we're gonna have 9 shows, we have to switch it up. I personally think X-Men 97 should have came on Saturday morning, but that's just me.
Oh, you mean switch up like when they drop the times and everything? It gives a little bit of a different flavor, right?
I would have loved to wake up to watch X-Men 97 with a bowl of cereal. That's
right? Yeah.
That was the poster.
Well, we're actually some of you from different places in the world. Like Niall and Andrew, what do you think of the 3 a.m. drop time in the United States? Do you love it? Or are you like, yes?
I like it personally because I'll go to sleep late anyway. So for me, it's no big deal, but I can see why other people in England would not like it, because you want to like sit in a dark room to watch it. You don't want to watch it early in the morning.
Oh, that's a good point. How about you, Andrew? What were you going to say?
your 3 a.m. drop times usually equal about 7 p.m. in the evening for me. If it's in the evening, it's midday. So I don't find myself being inconvenienced by those weird times.
Yeah, they're right smack in your perfect time. What were you going to say, Stephen?
Oh, I was wondering how many episodes the animated shows are because I thought they were all like 4 episodes each.
I think
And
they
like
just vary. You know, I mean, I think
are
a
they
lot of
varying? Do
people,
we
yeah,
know?
for sure, the
Because
episode counts for a lot of them. You know, like it's 8 episodes for What If, you know, and
oh
that's
well, yeah. I mean that's longer, but I meant like, for Spider-Man and for these 2025 animated shows, if they're gonna only be a handful of episodes, I feel like they'll be flash in the pan a little bit, you know? I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, here's an
Like,
interesting question. Do you guys think maybe they should have any of them available for a binge? Is there any property in 2025 you'd
yes.
want to binge?
I would love to
Every
binge Spider-Man.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but Adam, would you
So,
feel bad if that killed the conversation about the show?
a little bit, I think so. I mean, it's coming out, like, in my opinion, a few years too late. Like, I mean, I don't know how it's gonna fit in canon-wise with where they're going, since it's like, it's his origin before the trilogy, and then I've read somewhere that Doc Ock is on the show? Question mark. I just don't know. I don't know where they're going with the show, and so
We're
I'm
all
very
like
curious. Yeah,
Adult Spider-Man, and they're like, here he is in high school yet again. And we're like,
I
why is he still in
know.
high
right.
school?
Yeah.
What'd you want to say,
Yeah.
Andrew?
I just wanted to say, I think that what we're still looking at is the tail end of their very busy and cluttered release schedule. And
Mhm.
although they announced that they were going to be cutting it down and giving us quality over quantity, that takes a while to implement. And it takes a while to turn a ship around. And Marvel is a whole fleet of ships. So I think it's going to take a while before they really drop down to what we want to see.
Well, also, I think that there's some of this stuff has just been sitting there for too long. They can't hold it any longer because it's just becoming ridiculous. I mean,
Yes.
look how long they held Agatha, although that ended up
Mhm.
working very well for them. Jake,
But
did you want to
look,
say something?
Yeah, I feel like they're. Am I muted again? Okay, good.
No, you're good. We hear you.
I feel like we're still in that transitional period of when we were talking about what days or what times to drop these projects. Of back then, um, it was like this is what we watched Tuesday night, this is what we watched Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday morning, and HBO was always Sunday. And so now it's becoming these platforms instead of the networks that you watch. There's what platform are you watching? And they're going to be the only platform you're watching once a week, you know? And you're going to the other platforms throughout the week. So I think there needs to be more communication on like how are they really catering towards their audiences as far as their time. Do they want us every day of the week, or are they only looking at us on Wednesdays or Sundays, But the other thing is like with all of these shows coming out and projects, are they burying them like they kind of buried Echo this year?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
that's what it kind of feels like is here's everything. We're just gonna see what sticks and then we'll figure out next year.
Yeah. Well, let me
I
ask.
like,
Yeah, would you
oh,
say, Steven?
I was gonna say, I really liked Echo as a binge. I thought that it
Agreed.
worked. Like, I literally watched all 5 episodes straight through like a movie, and
Mhm.
it felt mildly satisfying. So I would kind of prefer maybe a show like, that doesn't follow the classic episodic television format of information over visuals. It's all about like Agatha followed the classic rules of
Well,
television
yeah, and,
very
and also
well.
Agatha was a great place for conversation and theories. You
Yes,
want that
yes.
thing,
And I
but if
just
the show
think
doesn't
like
have that, it doesn't
I
need
think
to
put it
be.
to a binge. I think if it doesn't meet that criteria of classic television style, then don't treat it as such. Get like weird with it, like make the Marvel Spotlight banner a thing, make a 3 episode miniseries of hour-and-a-half long episodes.
Yeah.
I think like there's ways that they could have addressed a lot of these projects that had come out already, like Secret Invasion. I just think like I can brainstorm making every single one of them into a movie, and that's not that doesn't that's really bad for TV because you want to know what you're watching is strictly for television and is following, you're signing up for that experience.
Yeah.
And I think that Agatha got us back in that direction. WandaVision started us there a little bit, but then we really lost our way. And then I think like if they can really get these live action shows to follow that, seems like they're going to be doing it with Daredevil. I think you're going to see a really big reaction.
I hope
and
so.
a
I
really
think-
big, like I think people are going to embrace that because you're giving them the meat on the bones for the TV show.
Well, Daredevil really benefits from all those Netflix seasons. I
Of
think
course,
Netflix
yes.
did the work for that's a big part of it.
And they need to build.
That's an interesting question. Uatu pointed out that Sherlock has 3 1.5-hour seasons, like 3
Right.
little move, like what Arcane is doing right
Yes.
now. Maybe that would be better than like
Mhm.
instead of like a couple of weeks, you got just 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, I think that would be really great. Like something like Wonder Man, something that's not, I mean, we don't know.
I'll be
barely
curious.
seen
I think,
anything,
we
but
don't know enough about Wonder Man. I
Yeah.
think, Ironheart looks like maybe Ironheart would be a good binge.
Mhm.
It depends,
For sure.
But I want to ask
Did-
this. I want to go around. I want to know, we'll do this in order again. What project in 2025 we're going to do the most and the least excited? So we're going to start off with, let's just do them together. Okay. So do what you're most excited about and least excited about of the 9 projects. Okay. So, Chad, you're up first.
Brave New World. Brave New World for
That's your
sure.
most excited?
Most excited.
And give a brief reason why.
Because I think everyone is really underestimating Anthony Mackie. I think everyone is really underestimating that cast, honestly. I think that is such not only a diverse cast, but that cast touches a lot of generations, even from like as a child hearing Martian Manhunter, like the voice actor for someone who's been with us since we were kids. I think that cast has a lot of star power. Least excited, Spider-Man. And the only reason I say that is because I'm tired of Kid Spider-Man. I'm tired of crying over Uncle Ben. I'm sick of Peter, to be honest. There are other people out there.
That's interesting. A lot of people have moved on to Miles. He's really been very popular in the games. The movies have been huge. People really like Tom Holland. But I think, it's not Tom Holland.
He's an adult.
It's doing a Tom Holland approximation. But yeah, I do think that Your Neighborhood Spider-Man will probably have a traditional animated streaming audience size.
It needs to be on Saturday.
Way to put it.
It needs to be on Saturday.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Such a good idea.
All right. So how about you,
Amazing.
Adam? Most excited and least excited, and why?
Ooh, well, I mean, I guess I'm a little biased because Spider-Man, but I mean,
everyone's gonna have a different answer. That's the beauty of
yeah, exactly. But in terms of the movies, I'd say definitely Thunderbolts, just because it looks like Marvel's answer to.
You gotta pick just one. What are you the most excited
about?
Iron Man above all. You can't pick a movie.
Oh man.
Sorry. So Spider-Man is what you pick, and who's your?
No, I'd say Thunderbolts, just because.
Thunderbolts. See,
yeah.
Spider-Man fan. Oh, so why Thunderbolts?
Oh, it just looks like such a fun time at the movies, and looks like Marvel's answer to James Gunn's Suicide Squad. So they're like, oh, you want to do Suicide Squad? Hold my beer, type thing. So, and I just can't wait for that movie. It's just they're starting to gear up for advertising both that and Cap 4. And
what
then,
are you least excited about?
I'm sorry, but Fantastic Four, I totally forgot that was coming out next year. So like when I was looking at the list again, I'm like, oh yeah, that's coming out next year. I do like Fantastic Four, but I don't know. They've never really found a good way to do the Fantastic Four yet.
Yeah, comic book fans know that Fantastic Four has never been big. We see a lot of fans in the space being like the first Marvel comic, and it's like, but no one ever talks about Fantastic Four.
Right, and then Doom's not even going to be introduced that we know of in that movie. He's getting his own.
We'll see.
Yeah,
and then drive by.
Yeah, and then it's interesting with Robert Downey Jr. I don't know. That's a whole other conversation, but
that's interesting. All right, so Aiden, you're next.
Yeah, thank you so much. So without a doubt, I'm most excited for Daredevil Born Again. I absolutely love all the Netflix shows, even like some of the seasons I know people aren't that big of a fan of. I still even kind of love Iron Fist a little bit,
Me
just
too.
because I have
Me
a soft
too.
spot, and
Iron Fist was
I have a
good.
soft spot for it.
I
Yeah,
love-
yeah, definitely.
Paul is
And I have
great.
really
Paul
good
is great.
memories about. I have a lot of good memories of just watching it with my whole family, just because like my parents were looking for something a little more mature to watch than like some of the movies, per se. So I'm just really excited to watch that with them. And it looks like it's hopefully now actually a continuation of the Netflix shows and not something new with the same actors, like a
Nobody wants
reinterpretation.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wasn't excited about that. So I'm so excited they're bringing everyone back. They got the original Vanessa back now, which I couldn't be more excited
Ooh,
about. So
that's
I just
right.
I can't wait for that.
What are you
Um,
least excited about?
yeah, I guess for me, it would probably be the Marvel Zombie show, just because I don't really know what it's gonna look like yet. And so the only thing I can really have like a base it on would be the comics, and I'm not a huge fan of the Marvel Zombie comics. I just feel like they're like a little too like nihilistic and mean-spirited for what I'm looking for out of a Marvel story. So I hope they do I hope they do something a little different, and I think they will because I think I've seen it's going to star like a lot of the newer Marvel characters. Like I think Miss Marvel and Shang-Chi are supposed to be in it. So I'm hoping that maybe they do something a little bit different and exciting. I just don't really know what to expect from it. So that's why it's my least
And
excited.
again, it's like a true Elseworlds, so it's not
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah, I just don't know what to expect from it.
All right, Jake, you're up. Most excited.
I'm so I ran some polls on my social media getting ready for this to see
I love
what
it.
my followers were doing because they're not as crazy as I am. So I wanted to get a general public idea, and they're actually most excited for Captain America, but I am most excited for Thunderbolts.
Ooh.
Just because I love Yelena Belova, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I feel like it's one of those movies that is not so it doesn't need as many Easter eggs. It just needs to be fun. I think
100%.
Marvel needs to figure out what fun is again. Like early on, they were just fun movies that had some Easter eggs in it.
Well,
And
also I think action scenes too.
yes, action
They've
scenes.
lost their action sequences.
Hmm.
And all the movies this year, at least the two that we've seen ads for, Brave New World and Thunderbolts, seem to have extensive action, which is good.
And I think another fun part to it is going to be like Civil War. You got to see your favorite characters fighting each other. They showed already that they're going to be fighting each other throughout this whole thing. And they're like in the first Avengers movie, they had to learn to work together as a team, and they're going to be learning to work together as a team. I feel like it's a good starting point, which also might be an ending point for some of the characters. We just have to wait to find
Marvel
out.
has the guts. Guys, Marvel, they only kill villains after their first
Fingers
movie.
crossed.
Well, they're all getting together in one movie.
All right, so what's your least favorite project?
I am also least personally, I do not care for zombies in general. I thought the one episode in What If was enough for me. I don't know if I need a whole series on Marvel Zombies, but I think it was only supposed to be 3 to 4 episodes. Like it's a short series. I think it would do better as a binge,
Well,
or
at least
if
it
it's
comes out
coming
for
out.
Halloween.
If it comes out for Halloween, just once a
That
week
would
in
be cool.
October. I didn't look too much into the release schedule because I honestly just don't care about that project.
All right,
But yeah.
Steven, what are you the most excited about?
Well, I would say Fantastic Four, but we haven't seen anything from it. So I
Exactly.
can't
Yeah.
but even then, you never know. So I'm not even gonna go there. I'm gonna go with Thunderbolts because I feel like I don't know anything about the movie. Even though we've seen all these trailers,
Oh, that's a
I
good thing.
really like the trailers are so freaking long, but they reveal nothing. Like I don't know
It's
what
a
the
Suicide
story
Squad.
is. I don't know what the story is. I don't know, like, but I'm intrigued. It reminds me of how they marketed in 2011 David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and how they
Ooh,
did like
yeah,
a
yeah.
5-minute trailer, and it was just the first act of that movie. And then like
So
it
good.
familiarized like I think audiences enough where they were like signing up for the ride, not knowing where it was going to take them. And I feel like Thunderbolts
good.
is going to have like just I think the third act is going to be crazy, and I think they have just kept it so quiet.
Well, they
And
managed to have very few leaks too, which is
yeah,
Sorry,
and
can I-
really, and I think that asterisk, I think if we all want to guess what it might mean, might be a fun thing. But like just for me, I think it's gonna be something fun like Thunderbolts and Bob because they keep saying and Bob. So I'm thinking like it's Thunderbolts and Bob, but then like obviously I don't know. But
what do you guys think? You know, I feel like Bob's another Wiccan situation. You know, Bob and Teen, where they're like, who could this be? And everybody's
know.
like,
We
we
don't
know
know.
who it is.
The Agatha meme.
We
Yeah.
haven't like in Guardians 3, like we saw like those brief shots of Adam Warlock, right? Like we're getting nothing.
That's
So
true.
I'm just
And I'm
really
actually gonna end up liking Adam Warlock.
yeah, and
I would.
I'm really curious what they have up
All
their
right, so
sleeve.
what's
for
your least
Thunderbolts.
favorite, Steven?
My least favorite, I'm just gonna say the Spider-Man animated show. I'm just kind of sick of
Fair enough.
Spider-Man. I mean, unless he's gonna be hopping over into the camp universe of Sony, which, you know, I've still watched
Oh,
them.
I hope not.
You know, I mean, like do something like put I want to see Miles Morales, so that's all. I
That
just
would be
in
sweet.
live action, so I'm just like put the Spider-Man show out on Saturday mornings for kids. Have fun. Okay, bye. Sorry.
Right. Neil, you're up.
I'm most excited for Fantastic Four.
Oh, I'm chat will be so
Hey,
happy.
there we go. There we go.
I really like everyone involved from the actors. It's also the director of WandaVision, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I love WandaVision, so I really think it could be really good. I really like the what it sounds like 60s, a different universe,
Yeah.
like impending doom as well of Galactus.
And Doom. I like the way you said that.
Yeah.
And Doom.
I think what I'm most excited about for Fantastic Four for is I think it's gonna actually continue the MCU. Like it feels like it's at a standstill now. Like where it's just like this. But I think Fantastic Four is gonna make it go like that.
Oh, I like that.
Cool.
That's an excellent point. So how about
That also feeds
the
into my
least excited
Thunderbolts.
about?
What's it called? My Neighborhood Spider-Man. Your friendly company.
Poor show.
Ironheart.
Yeah, it comes out in January and there hasn't
It
even been
does, yeah.
Yours and mine and everyone's friendly neighborhood.
Yeah. All right. So why that one?
Well, it's set in another universe, so it's just, like once again, it's like it's just going like that with the MCU. Like, there's no advancements. Like,
That's a great point.
yeah,
Do we
it
know
looks
if
so
Tom-
boring to me.
Is
All
Tom
right,
Holland
Andrew,
voicing
bring us-
Spider-Man?
What?
Is Tom Holland voicing the
he's not.
Spider-Man?
No.
So what does
All
it
right,
matter?
Andrew, you're up. What are you the most excited about?
Most excited. It has been Thunderbolts because it's got so much comedic talent in that movie. I'm really excited to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus flex her comedic muscles. And I also want to find out who Sebastian Stan pissed off to give him that haircut.
Right.
It looks like he just walked out of a salon. But I think really I'm excited about Fantastic Four because, as has just been previously stated, it's in another universe. It's got this Incredibles meets the Jetsons vibe. And like X-Men, Fantastic Four is both blessed and cursed with this incredibly long and rich narrative history. And it can be a bit of an embarrassment of riches, you know, like where do you start adapting stories when you've got so much of that? But because of that, I feel really optimistic about the foundation that it rests on. And as has also been said, the director of WandaVision, I trust greatly to do something remarkable with Fantastic Four. And I want to see Franklin. I'm hopeful and optimistic that I think that is going to be a real tentpole.
Do you think if they move on to Franklin too quickly, though, it would just, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, like the Fantastic Four, they have moved on where they have these two children, Franklin and Valeria, and they age them up pretty quickly in the comics. And sometimes they take over the stories, like it's interesting to see what they might decide to do, especially, we're not sure if we want to see Marvel move on to like everybody's like all these kids, like the last couple phases, everyone's been having a child, But so also, what's your least favorite, Andrew? What are your least favorite?
My least favorite has been a toss-up between Marvel Zombies because I don't like zombies and sorry, Adam Spider-Man. Just
Sorry.
because I feel like they're trying to emulate the kind of artsy comic book style that they nailed so beautifully in the recent films, but they're trying to do it on a tenth of the production budget. So they're like, how can we make this, like, how can we shortcut this? And the results are evident on screen. What I see does not make me want to watch it. Sorry.
No, yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, to be
That's
fair,
interesting.
I chose Thunderbolts, so
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
that's
even the
better.
Spider-Man fan chose the Thunderbolts. All right, so I want to open it up to the chat. I want to make sure this is nice and interactive, and so we're doing this live. So we want to interact with everybody who's tuning in. Do you have any questions? I'll pick the question. Does anybody have any questions for the group?
Can I just say,
Yeah.
Marvel Zombies would have been my least anticipated, but then today it was revealed that Elizabeth Olsen was coming back to voice Wanda. So now,
Yeah.
but now I
Ooh,
can't put that
really?
And
Ooh,
Makes me
okay.
so happy. That's great. Justice Caden asked if there were any Wanda fans. I don't know if you saw that or not, but there's one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Wanda.
Yeah, she's great.
All right.
I'm a
so
Jean
let's see.
fan.
Hold on. I'm just
Sorry.
So hold on, I'm just waiting. Okay, so Scores says, why do you think Kevin Feige? Oh, that's an aggressive comment. Let's just say, I will massage Scores' question. Do you think that Marvel is, one of the things that I think made Marvel so successful was that it never made any mistakes for a while, but now they're kind of like becoming like every other franchise where sometimes they have an unfortunate situation. Why do you think that happened? Does anybody, Niall?
I think the MCU has always had disappointments. Like it had For the Dark World, Iron Man 2, but because the highs were so high back then as well, like with the Avengers, like Civil War, like people seem to like let them off for it. I think once we get like some great projects back, I think then people will like feel more alright.
Oh, that's a good point. Steven?
yeah, I mean, I read the book, The Reign of Marvel, or the MCU, The Reign of Marvel, whatever the title was, I forget now. But that was very enlightening because it showed that like they didn't really have as much of a plan at all. that we, the plan that we think was like this mastermind of, this everything, every detail. And I think that we as audience members forget that it takes a lot to pull this off. And I think that it was new, right? Like we never had anything, so we were forgiving the flaws
True.
and we were just kind of rolling with it because whatever we were getting was a fun surprise. But now, people, I think we expected them to be like, oh, you should have perfected this cocktail by now, right? And they're like, we never had one.
Yeah, we
Like,
were never mixing to begin with.
right? Yeah, we just kind of, we would, and I think you can only do that for so long, right? Like that's not a sustainable long-term business plan, to make it up as you go along. It's like,
Yeah, it's weird how many people in Hollywood that is their game plan.
I know. And it's just like,
Yeah, they're like, we'll find
it
out
seems
tomorrow.
like common sense to me. But so I
It's weird
think
because everybody here would plan.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like not one of us would be like, I think we'll
Yeah.
just do that later.
And I mean, and like they're just at this point, they're lacking so much connective tissue. I mean, like, why wasn't She-Hulk a cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine? Like, she breaks the fourth wall. Like, they could have made a joke about how hot Chris Evans is or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they would be so much fun together, like in an R-rated movie. Like, why wasn't Madison from She-Hulk just like
Yeah, why is
hopping
Madison
around?
everywhere?
Like she's hilarious. Like why not take these characters from these things that didn't connect and like use that as the connective tissue?
Yeah.
Like why isn't like there one Eternal at the end of every one of these movies being like, there's a thing happening. Quick.
There wasn't
And
something
then like
happening? Wasn't something really important happening?
yeah, and it's like
What do you think, Chad? I saw you raising your hand, Chad.
I would agree. I think that with, like we said before, a lot of these projects were done in films, and it's nothing to go back and film some things, but you got to think about the business and the headline. You hear something goes back to reshoots, and it's either Rogue One or
Joker 2.
Joker 2.
Yeah.
You said it. not me.
Joker too. We will all
true,
say
but-
it together.
But it's it's the headlines, it's the budget, it's calling everyone back in. So all of that plays a factor. But I saw a question in the chat. Somebody asked, "Is there a $1 billion movie?" And I honestly think that's Captain America and/or Fantastic Four.
That's fascinating. I don't think there's any movie that's guaranteed $1 billion. There's not one movie that I look at here and I go, "That's getting to $1 billion." They might get close.
Close.
Make it very
For
close.
Captain America World 300.
I hope so. I mean, I don't think any of them are going to flop. Of the 3 movies, I don't think any of them are going to flop. Does anyone here think any of them are going to make $1 billion?
No, the next flop is Craven.
I think Fantastic Four, if they nail everything they want to, I think that could be, like I said, another tentpole.
Oh, but no one thinks anyone's going to flop though, right?
No.
Okay.
I really
think-
think it's going to depend on how this all, if people are going to go to these movies and they're going to want to see how it connects into Doomsday. So if they don't add in concrete, things that they're going to be
I
following through on
agree. I think
immediately,
that Niall's
people will
correct.
not,
If
so I
Fantastic
think
Four
it
doesn't
comes down
set
to
it
that.
up, as you said. I loved that hand
Mhm.
gesture you did, Niall. I think, it's going to be that Fantastic Four is reliant on it being like a booster for the MCU. Jake, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I imagine Fantastic Four is gonna kind of be like Black Panther, where it was towards the end and it then continued to the next generation, the next slate, the
Okay.
next saga. But I think what Marvel is missing right now we're in the multiverse saga.
Oh yeah.
Whereas the Infinity
Mhm.
Saga, there were so many Easter eggs and everyone knew what they were leading up to. In the Multiverse Saga, it's like we're just gonna do everything and see what people like. I don't know if anyone has any idea of what their end game is. What's the end
that's
game of
true.
this other than Secret Wars? Everyone knows everyone's gonna be fighting.
Well,
But what
I
is
wanna-
their Bible, this saga?
Yeah.
Did
No, I
they even
agree.
make one?
Well, I want to move on to a next question. We have a really great one from Green Lantern's Light because they see that we're all X-Men fans. So
Okay.
let's go around and you got to tell me like the 2 X-Men that you really want to see in the new lineup,
Yes.
So
Okay.
let's start off. We'll go in order on this one. Chad,
Jean Grey, of course. And if you know, great.
even with Wanda though, even with Wanda. Oh, you broke up. What did you want to say? What?
Jean Grey. Wanda.
Oh, we're
Wanda's not a-
losing you. We're losing you, Chad. It's hard to hear you.
That better?
Because he's speaking
Yes,
bad about
yes.
Wanda.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
so Jean Grey, Wanda be damned. You're still gonna. You want Jean? You want Jean?
Gene needs to be in there. And then, that's tough. All right, I'll throw Emma in there for story purposes.
I'd love Emma Frost. Yeah.
I
All right,
love
Adam,
Emma Frost.
Good.
how about
Oh
you?
man. Shoot. Well, I mean, we've already established he's gonna be in it until he's 90. So let's do some more Wolverine and oh, Chad doesn't like
You gotta have Wolverine, I'm afraid.
and
Jake,
then I'd say let's bring Rogue back somehow. I don't know how we could bring her in, but Rogue would be good to see
A
as well.
proper rogue.
I just want to say
Yes.
I'll just do one, but Cyclops has to be redeemed and
Very
he
good.
has to be a leader, and I think that's really crucial. All right, Aiden.
Yeah, for me, it's pretty easy. We need Gambit and Rogue in the same movie. How has that not happened before? I mean, we
100%.
finally have
True.
a good Gambit. This is our second version of Gambit, but we don't talk about the first one. But it's crazy. We've had Rogue in quite a few movies, and we've had Gambit in a couple movies now, but we still haven't seen them together. And I feel like I don't want to make anyone who's like a big Jean Grey Cyclops romance fan, but I think their romance is my personal kind of favorite. I love that sort of like forbidden romance the two of them have where they can't really be with each other. And I thought X-Men 97 just executed that so beautifully. And the template's right there for them in so many comics and now multiple animated shows. I think it's the most
Yeah.
obvious path for them
I
to do.
think
It's
giving Rogue her control over her powers is one of the stupidest things they did in the comics. It ruined the character. Jake, you're next. Two.
I mean, I love all the women of X-Men, but I especially love the Phoenix and Jean, and I love what they're doing with her in the comics lately. If I picked a second, it would have Rogue or Storm. It's tough.
Yeah, I think Storm definitely is.
Just good versions, please.
Yeah. Steven, 2 X-Men.
I want full like lead character Psylocke because
Oh, really?
yeah, because she's fabulous, and like who doesn't want that?
I love it.
I mean, come on. But then like also I would because we love Beefcake, I want like the X-Men 97 Gambit to come in live action because like that would be aesthetically pleasing for me. So I think those two
Love it.
things would be great.
Yeah, I thought that Channing Tatum was a lot of fun, but I don't want him to be my main
No, I want that hot
Gambit. That was
Gambit.
fun,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
All right, Niall?
You get it.
Well, Rogue and Gambit are my 2 favorites, but I think it's essential for the MCU to get Cyclops and Storm right.
I agree. Ben 10 had the same one. And I guess I would probably say the same thing as well. I think that they were right on the edge of the Fox X-Men, but you know,
They were
just
done
didn't,
so dirty.
yeah, they just didn't do enough with them. Wolverine, you know, I understand it, but it just eclipsed everybody.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, what are your 2?
I think I have to say Jean Grey. I've always been obsessed
Oh,
with Jean Grey.
Okay.
Jean Grey
Everything
love
that
is
expands
amazing.
from her. As much as I love Wanda, you can't go past Jean Grey. She's the ultimate goddess. And I also have always loved Nate Gray, the Age of Apocalypse Nate
Oh,
Gray.
yes.
And I think that you could really do an interesting fusion of the Nate Gray and the Kid Cable character because, I mean, essentially you can pick and choose from any part of Cable's timeline or variants to create a new MCU version. And a Kid Cable Nate Gray character would be really interesting.
Nate Gray is a very interesting choice. I
I was
remember
just
him.
thinking, could I change one of mine?
Oh, sure. What would you change to?
Ooh, I would keep Mystique, but I would change Wolverine to Nightcrawler because that scene in X2 is just
Yeah.
oh my god,
By
it's
the
just
way,
so good.
Melise just recommended Jonathan Bailey for Nightcrawler, which I think is actually
Oh
very
yeah, be good.
I like that.
All right, so we have a good question from Gold Searcher who says, I feel like every MCU project coming out in 2025 will either be decent, good, great, and or successful. Oh, sorry for those of you who like Captain America 4. Gold Searcher is concerned about the reshoots, the rumors of not great test responses, and then also the tricky situation of having Sabra as such a main character in the film. All right, Chad, defend your movie.
All right, so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. We have to understand the comic standpoint and then Brave New World. I think this movie is doing what it's supposed to do, like the original promise of the shows was that they were going to bridge off. We don't count Multiverse of Madness because they didn't watch the show. So since they actually watched the show and now we're bridging,
a lot of the same people.
Right. Yeah. So it's actually looks like it's actually expanding from what we watched. And I feel like since Falcon and Winter Soldier worked so well, it was that bridge. It's like that bridge between movie and TV where it felt like TV, but it felt like you were watching a movie at one point. And
I thought that was great.
So I think that since it happened so long ago, and we talk about projects being spaced out, I think since it happened so long ago, people are just like, why? Go back and watch it. It's a great binge and a lot of like
very good point.
Moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to end with Brown Eyed Black Sheep's question. Great. Okay. We're going to go in order on this one. All right. This is a good one. Do you think Fantastic Four is supposed to be what Quantumania couldn't be? But I would also like to add, do you think it might potentially suffer like Quantumania did? Because Quantumania, this person points out, was supposed to be bringing on Kang. That was why that movie was such a big deal. And now a lot of people are, the rumor is potentially Doom, or at least will show up for the first time in Fantastic Four. And of course, Fantastic Four and Doom are like this, like they're really tied together. So what do you think Fantastic Four is in any danger of being a new Quantumania? And do you think that it what can it do to, or what is it doing to avoid that fate? All right, so we'll go in the order of the group here. So Chad, you're up first.
I think Quantumania was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think like Andrew alluded to before, I think that there's such a foundation here that if Marvel is, let's just say, crazy enough to ignore it or just to disregard it, I think that would be more bad, and that's not something they want right now. I think that they are worried about that stock and they need to get it back up And I don't think
today because of the Disney Plus subs.
Right. And I was not getting on that 8:30 call. It was way too early. But if I feel like with this movie, it's in a place where it has to succeed because of how they revealed RDJ coming out and just putting the mask off. Yeah.
It would be a disaster for
them. It would be a disaster if it didn't.
Level disaster if it didn't succeed.
It did. And I think
I like that comparison.
So
Adam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, they're in a very tough spot with that reveal with putting him like surprise. So I think that might be why, me in particular that I forgot it was coming out next year. I think yeah.
But also it's not just to be clear, it's not confirmed that Doom is going to show up, but it's highly suspected because it's Fantastic Four, he's their villain, and he's coming up with an adventures movie right around the corner. So
true. But I've seen very little to no marketing for it. I know, granted, we're still 8 months out, but I mean, it seems like Marvel is very, very focused on Cap 4 and the Thunderbolts, and they're really not even giving us anything for the Fantastic Four, which I can't decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm hoping it's because they don't want to reveal their hand, but
that's the problem also with 9 projects, and also Fantastic Four stuff privately to these panels, but it's just not, it's only been leaking to the public,
right?
But then that makes it feel like it's under wraps,
Could be.
All right, Aiden, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern I have that Fantastic Four could be another Quantumania situation. I was thinking back to it, and I don't really think a lot of people realize how big of a disaster Quantumania was going to be until we saw it. I think you were pretty positive about it, Grace, up until it came out, and then I remember seeing your review, and I was like, "Oh, this is getting real now for Marvel. This is scary." So we haven't seen much about it, so I can't really make a judgment, but it is a worry I have. And right now we're all talking about like Doctor Doom, but the main villain's supposed to be Galactus. And from my knowledge of him in the comics, isn't he the main villain? And I always thought
wait, is it?
Galactus is
he is.
And it's like he's this I don't know. He seems like a bigger threat to me than Doom. The fact that you have this huge cosmic threat that devours planets, and then you have Robert Downey Jr. in a metal mask, and how he's our big villain right after we just did Galactus. It seems like, I don't know, I worry they're going to start too big with Galactus and then going back and making the big 2-movie finale about Doctor Doom right after we just saw planets get eaten.
And I guess they're going to resolve the Galactus problem.
I don't know.
Galactus is like,
and then how does that,
for a couple of movies now, so I'll see you
guys.
guys.
Wait another 10 years until like the next big 2-part finale. I always assumed it would go Doctor Doom. It just seems a little early for Galactus.
Back in their other universe section, but that's funny.
I don't know what they're doing with that, and
that's so funny, Aiden. We're gonna table Galactus. We're gonna talk about Doom.
It's a weird thing, especially because it's Robert Downey Jr. Doom, so it's not even like, maybe not even the real Doctor Doom. We don't know what's going on with that. And then it's Doom. I don't know.
If it's not the real Doom. I mean, don't waste my time, man.
It's a weird situation.
What do you think, Jake? These are very interesting points. I love it.
They are. And, I think for us, Quantumania is a good example because it's something that we as Marvel fans are very familiar with. But when I was polling my audience who's just not big into Marvel as we are, I asked them like what their favorite characters were, MCU projects, and they were talking Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, Spidey, Deadpool, like the big ones. And Ant-Man was just never one of those big movies.
Yeah.
So I think the straw that broke the general public's back was Thor 4. And I think Quantumania broke Marvel fans back.
That's interesting.
But in Fantastic Four, having 2 other examples for people to lean on, I think they do have some work to do to then capture general audiences into saying that this is now one of the core 3 people of the group. This is one of the core 3 groups of the MCU now. It'll be the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and the Avengers, That's my opinion.
I think that's a hard sell. It's only supposed to be the Avengers. I think that's really hard. Especially because the general public only knows the Fantastic Four in 2 failed movies, 2 failed tries.
True.
They're like, those
3
guys
failed
again.
movies.
What's the third?
There were
The
2
old-
and then the 2015
Oh,
one.
yeah.
There's technically 4 because there was the
Yes.
unreleased Roger Corman
The
one
unreleased-
from the
right.
60s,
Wow.
which I still think is the best one, honestly.
Can we talk about The
I love
Incredibles,
first
though?
two Fantastic
All right,
Four.
Steve, you're up. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I think that we're going to be very surprised by Fantastic Four. I think
hope so.
that Galactus is going to destroy their universe at the end of the movie.
Mm.
I think Doom will be behind it in some way. And then I think whatever incursion, whatever we've been calling it so far in the Marvel world, is going to that's what's going to break the walls or what of the multiverse. And then, I think that'll definitely give us some kind of thing. Because you can't kill Galactus like you did in Rise of the Silver Surfer. So I think you're gonna get
Bad
some.
ending though if they all die. And Fantastic.
No. I think their world will die, and then
Yeah,
the
no, and they
Fantastic
break.
Four
They jump
will,
to
yes,
ours.
will come into
I think we all
our
pretty
world,
much
right?
think that's what's
Because
going to happen.
we're trying
Yeah.
to fold everything together. Is basically
Yeah.
what's happening. So I think if
That's
they
a good
could do
theory.
that,
And Galactus, maybe he eats the entire multiverse, and that makes him so he's not hungry anymore
I
for a
mean,
little bit.
that's what that's also it's like a legitimate creative decision they're thinking about making.
Yeah.
But I don't
I
know.
think that would solve a lot of their problems.
I also think that Quantum Mania was a pandemic movie, and those things, I mean, there's a lot of I think that when you watch Quantum Mania and you look for the positives instead of the negatives, there's actually quite a bit more in that works than we ultimately think. Does the whole thing come out and work in the end? Absolutely not.
Well, I think the problem is that Kang was not an Ant-Man villain.
Correct.
So
Yes.
you're like,
And
why
those are
are
the
you
things,
moving?
right. And I
Yeah.
think that they have enough interesting actors. I love that Natasha Lyonne is in this movie.
Yes.
John
Also,
Malkovich is in this movie.
Well, Kang is also like a really complex character, but so is Doom. A lot of the original characters, you look at them, you get their deal. But with Doom and just like Kang, you're like, it's very cerebral. It's very Silver Age. You're like, so. All right, so
Yeah.
what do you
And
think?
one last comment. I do think because of the futuristic 60s setting that they're doing that they described today, I'm immediately being called back to those old disaster movies from the 50s and 60s, like When Worlds Collide, and stuff like that. And I think they might be drawing on those inspirations for Fantastic Four. So I think there is a solid creative vision for that movie that seemed absent from Quantumania.
I hope so. That would be great. Niall,
Yeah.
what do you think?
So my main problem with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was nothing happened. They go from the start to the end and nothing's changed at all. But with Fantastic Four, Matt Shackman has a whole sandbox of a brand new world. So he could do anything to it. Galactus could eat it all. It could explode. Anything could happen, which I think is very exciting. And also the first description came out for Fantastic Four today, and it said about how it gets personal. And I don't understand how it's going to get personal with Galactus. I think that means that Doctor Doom is going to be involved somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't see how that fails, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. All right, so what do you think, Andrew?
I think similar to what Niall said, Quantum Mania has such a different scope from Fantastic Four. The only thing they share in common is this kind of futuristic vibe. Quantum Mania zooms down into this little micro universe, and somehow we're supposed to care about what happens in this little pocket dimension that doesn't impact anything, and all these cartoony aliens that aren't, it's not what we're hearing about. But Fantastic Four is this explosive, huge scope. And so rather than kind of zooming in and caring about the microscopic, it's zooming out and we're looking at the macroscopic. And I think so Fantastic Four should have massive implications. And as long as they don't just give us multiple reads, because so far the multiverse has been look, multiple Peters, look, multiple Stevens, look, multiple Wolverines, look, multiple Deadpools. And I love it. But also, I think that I don't think the pitfalls that Quantumania fell into are quite such a danger here.
Yeah, I think that's true. Olympian 2 and 2, I feel bad. We're about to wrap up, but you asked a question, said for X-Men movies, what do you think if they made character movies focusing on different characters, like different teams or different missions, and have an endgame level movie where they, so you're thinking of building its whole own spine. I don't think Marvel
No.
has the bandwidth for that. It
Not at
would
all.
obviously been nice, but they don't have that ability. And that's the downside of joining the MCU. And that they, they have a deep bench, and some people sit on it for a very, very long time. Kevin Feige saying X-Men won't appear until after Secret Wars, probably, which is just
What a
so
bummer.
long.
Yeah.
So far away. So we'll see. All right. Boy, everybody sure likes to talk. Hello, Wanda fans. We love you. We love Wanda too. All right. I want to thank everybody for joining. This was another wonderful discussion. Thank you all for your willingness to come on air. You guys all did a fantastic. You all were just absolutely wonderful. And I really appreciated your insightful comments.
Yeah,
right,
and
so
if
thank you.
anybody, if anybody wants to follow me on at Letterboxd, I have plenty of crazy movie takes.
Okay.
Steven Carrier. I love to talk about, like, I have 4 stars out of 5 for Madam Web, so come talk to me about it.
Anybody
Okay.
else want to channel?
I love that. And I also have a podcast that I'm a co-host with some of my friends here on YouTube and everywhere else called Drenched in Drama, where we talk about pop culture in ways you've never known.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Andrew, you have a channel? You have a channel too, Andrew, right?
I do. I recently started a channel called The House of Overthinking. I read classic fairy tales by candlelight if you want to listen to something while you're driving or before you go to bed. I talk about the nerdy things we like, and I've also got my latest video up is about Wicked, so you should check that out.
And Jake, you said you have an audience. Is there anything? Does anybody else want to say anything? Direct anyone?
I just mean people that follow me on Instagram. You can follow me
that's
at
great.
Jake C. Jenkins, and then I also have a YouTube channel, Jake Chandler Jenkins, where I do Vlogmas every year.
All right. Is anybody
My-
else?
Sure.
My letterbox is just my name. Though.
That's great.
If
So
anyone
you're the
wants to
only
follow
Niall
that.
on there? That's impressive. You got
Yeah,
it.
I was the first one.
Oh, I love it.
First and
That's
only
really
one.
nice.
Yeah. And
I'll
I'm
put socials in the comments after the video's posted, but just thank you, Grace, for giving us a space to talk. I know I love running into you. We've gone to the movies a few times.
Yeah.
So if you guys haven't met Grace, sucks for you. But maybe if you visit New York City, you can have a rare Grace
Say
sighting.
all the time.
Well, if you're ever in
Well.
Buffalo, Grace, if you're ever in
yeah.
Buffalo.
You never know. All right. Is anybody else have like last thing?
Sure.
Aiden or Adam?
Yeah,
I'm too
you
busy
know.
for a YouTube
Oh,
channel, unfortunately.
Adam, what'd you say? Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, you could follow me on Twitter, Letterboxd at GamerD47. I have a twinkle in my eye for a podcast about movies that I just haven't gotten off the ground yet. So I might pick Steven's brain after this and see what he recommends. Yeah. So.
And Aiden, of course.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm a senior in college. I don't really have time for a YouTube channel right now. Maybe one day though. But thank you so much, Grace. You've been such a big part of my life, so I'm so happy to be on here.
Yeah, many of you I've talked to many, many times online, and so many of you I'm meeting for the first time, like in person, so to speak. And
it's crazy.
You're all wonderful. You're all wonderful. All right, so I continue to just be so proud and honored that people as wonderful as you are in the BTT community.
You should be. It's a great community, Grace.
Yeah, it's so great.
All right, have a wonderful day, and thank you again for your time, and thanks to everybody in the chat. And we'll see you and we'll do these one every month, and on the next one it might be one of you. All right, bye.
Bye, Grace.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.